I don't even know where to begin, honestly. Which is a weird thing to say since here I am making a video about a game where you play as a cat. Now, having an animal protagonist in the game isn't special, and neither is having a silent one. But when you combine the two, you get... no, not that, but you do get Stray. A game in which you play as a normal cat, although obviously intelligent. The cat isn't magic or mutated, can't talk or do ninja tricks. You're just an everyday cat doing everyday cat things, which, when you say it like that, you'd think would make for a really boring protagonist, but it definitely isn't. You have a dedicated meow button, which I've spammed the shit out of even during cutscenes. You can scratch stuff, knock over other stuff. It's basically a Game of the Year contender with that alone. I mean, sorry, Elden Ring. But jokes aside, I've said this numerous times, constraints are necessary for creativity. Making the cat normal was a great choice by the devs, because if the cat was supernatural in any sense, you'd have an easy solution for any situation the cat could find itself in. You start the game off hanging around with your cat friends doing cat things. But as it is with all plot devices, misfortune happens and you get separated from your friends. Now, this scene broke my heart, it really did. I gotta commend the devs for sticking to their guns of making the cats ordinary. Just look at their expressionless faces, because they don't know what's going on. And your cat's only limited to expressions a cat would actually make when in danger. Nothing's over the top for dramatic effect, it's as normal as it can be. And yet I can't help but feel a bit of repressed Lion King childhood trauma slowly creeping in, just ready to ruin my day. Stray is a great example of less is more. In a sense, it reminds me of older RPG games like Gothic, where the maps were smaller but well crafted, packed with content, and it's all polished. Choosing not to rely on, open world sandboxing, but rather have the player experience, a thought out environment and story. There's not a whole lot of game mechanics here, to be honest. The game plays sort of like a platformer-ish adventure game with a bit of puzzle solving and the old reliable get item, use item shtick. But the pacing, the story, the environment, and the map design are so well made that you kind of forget how simple the game really is. As far as I know, for the map design, the devs were inspired by the Kowloon walled city, which was a great choice and it really shows. I love the cyberpunky aesthetic, the colors, the combination of new and old, the whole story with the robots and how they act, which I won't spoil. But the levels are just beautiful, and it was a joy to explore them. The environment tells a rich story, which you can learn by either reading memories off walls or by talking to random bots on the street. The game, being set in a dystopian cyberpunk setting, can feel a bit bleak at times, but also has, charming little quirks that keep everything upbeat. Now, the game of course isn't perfect. If I had to nitpick, I'd say the game is far too easy for a couple of reasons. The platforming part of the game is sort of predetermined since you jump from spot to spot via prompt. It's sort of impossible to fail any sort of climbing unless you point the camera in the wrong direction. This also does limit the player's creativity in a way by limiting which platforms can be jumped on. Although I like that they put all of these anti-bird spikes around the map instead of breaking the immersion with invisible barriers. The combat is also really easy. Although I don't fault the game too much, I'd be perfectly fine if it had no combat at all. Although, to the devs' credit, the weapon you get in the game does have a heat up mechanic, so you have to be a bit strategic with how you use it. The game, unfortunately, is very short. It took me about 12 hours to finish the whole thing and get all 24 achievements, but this is kind of mitigated by the fact that the game costs about half of a full-priced AAA game, yet has the polish of one. Also, as I said before, the environment might be small, but it's a well-crafted and tightly packed game, which in my opinion beats a vast, yet empty open world. Although this is technically a critique, I wouldn't sweat too much about it. The thing that is absolutely unforgivable, however, is once you knock over a can of paint, you do not leave cute little cat paws around the place. Absolutely dogshit game, 0 out of 100, refund please. Another thing I would have liked to see more of are, some kind of collectibles to make exploration more enticing and rewarding. I'm not saying there are none. You have certain side quests to do, like collecting sheet music, memories, or extra hidden badges to collect. I just wish there was a bit more, just a tiny bit. It's kind of like you finished eating a really good pizza and you're sort of wishing you had more, kind of a deal, rather than something actually lacking like pineapple. In these newly released game reviews, I try not to talk about the story too much, because I want any potential players to experience it on their own, because you can really only do it once. But I like the story, it's simple, it has cool characters, which is interesting since all the NPCs are near expressionless robots which share the same scrambled voice. If you're a cat lover, there is absolutely no way you won't enjoy the game. It was short and sweet, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. That's all I've got for you, thanks for watching, and see you next time.